Hi, this is Mr. Carter, and I teach English Language Arts 8 here at Perry. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I am married to my wife, Jenny, and we have 3 cats and 1 dog with a huge personality. I have taught middle school language arts for 13 years. I have a master's in teaching and learning, specializing in literature for children and young adults, as well as my gifted intervention specialist endorsement and over 50 plus hours of high quality gifted professional development. At the beginning of the year, I review with all of my students the center of my classroom philosophy, which is how do we become more humanizing in the ways we learn, live, and relate with others and the world. And then I present them with this graphic and talk through how the district, building, and classroom level language and priorities that we have all serve to support this central question. Some things that students will need to bring every day to class with them are an open mind, full heart, an independent reading book of their choice, a charged Chromebook, their blue ELA folder, their gray planner folder provided by the school, and a pen or pencil for writing with. There are other materials that are kept in the classroom for use during the day, like highlighters, markers, colored pencils, scissors, glue, etc., as well as their physical Amplify materials, which is part of the new ELA pilot curriculum that several teachers are trying out. They can take these print materials home with them at any time. They have to make sure to bring them back to school with them the next day. As I had just mentioned, several teachers at the middle school level this year are piloting the Amplify English Language Arts curriculum for potential adoption. Amplify is a blended literacy curriculum designed specifically to support middle school students in learning to attack any complex text, make observations, grapple with interesting ideas, and find relevance for themselves. We are starting our pilot with the 100 Days Pathway, which focuses on 5 specific units within the larger curriculum. Those units for 8th grade include a narrative unit, a science fiction unit, a unit on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, and finally, a space race collection. We do have access to a 6th unit, or we'll potentially leave some room to do some favorite projects or something like that. So as the year unfolds, I'll provide more information about what we will fill that other space with. I do think it's important to mention that the curriculum is designed to promote deeper thinking, stronger reading and writing skills, and richer discussion for all students. Everything about Amplify has been built on the principles of universal design, and carefully curated materials and activities enable teachers to differentiate instruction to meet the needs of all learners. There are multiple entry points and 6 levels of embedded differentiated support so that every student, regardless of fluency or ability, can engage with the same complex texts and curriculum. Rather than focusing on only right or wrong answers, students are able to develop ideas and opinions on relevant real-world text as they become more critical thinkers. If you'd like more information about the 8th grade curriculum and how it fits together, in the upper right-hand corner, it says 8th grade curriculum map, and that's actually a link that you can click on to see the complete 8th grade curriculum. But I have pulled out on the left-hand side some of the anchor texts that show up in the 5 units over the 100 Days Pathway. As far as assignments and grading, students will complete the majority of their assignments in their Amplify workbooks and or through the online Amplify app. There is homework called solos, which will generally be completed through the app online and is expected to be completed when it is assigned, whether or not it is for a grade. In addition to the writing that students complete as part of the Amplified curriculum, they will also complete weekly journals, which will be available on Schoology. I want to work with families and students as much as possible to shift away from a do it for the grade mindset to a do it for the opportunity to practice and grow mindset. And I've tried to develop grading practices that support that transition. If it were up to me, I would not give out any grades and instead focus purely on collaborative feedback cycles and co-constructed growth narratives. But I do recognize that the current system of schooling necessitates the use of a more traditional approach. So I'll work within these constraints to try to make grading as meaningful as possible. And one of the ways that I've tried to do that is to separate assignments into two types. Formative assignments, which make up the majority of what we do in the classroom, should be considered practice. And those will be weighted to count for only 10% of a student's grade. Summative assessments are meant to be measures of learning after a student has had the necessary time to practice. And as a result, those assessments will be weighted to count for 90% of a student's grade. All graded work will be entered into Infinite Campus. Formative assignments are intended to indicate current progress towards mastery of standards, though they will be listed in the gradebook by assignment or activity title, whereas summative assessments will represent students' level of mastery of standards at the time that they were assessed and will be entered by the standard that was being measured. I certainly do not want a bad test to ruin a student's grade, so they will almost always have an opportunity to retake or correct tests or demonstrate their mastery of content and skills through alternative assignments if they keep up with their practice work. If students do not do the practice, graded or otherwise, they do not earn the opportunity to retake and correct tests. So it's very important that students do the practice that is assigned in class. I want to say one thing about gifted services here at Perry at the 8th grade level, as I am the gifted intervention specialist that teaches both the middle school cluster group and the enriched language arts classroom. And that is, this year, we've had to institute a slight change in the cluster group and how those services are provided. Due to higher enrollment and class sizes, we've had to shift back to a cluster grouping model within the regular classroom rather than a self-contained cluster class that we have been able to provide in the past because of the higher enrollment. You can see in the blue box that that's actually what is listed on the Worthington Schools Gifted Services website, that cluster groups have always been provided within the regular classroom. And this year we've had to follow through with that structure for our cluster students. The enriched language arts class will continue to be a self-contained single subject course. And I want to say for all of our gifted students that the new curriculum that we're piloting is already designed to promote deeper thinking, stronger reading and writing skills, and rich discussion. And in addition, there are embedded challenge supports, and I will supplement as needed with any additional depth and complexity. Finally, on the left, you can see our school expectations for where and when assignments will be posted to Schoology and to Infinite Campus. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me by email. I will get back to you as quickly as possible, but I do not always respond to email over the weekend. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to a great year.